Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today just saw The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson as the Batman. And boy, there's a lot to talk about with this movie. Oh man. So if you guys didn't know, they actually did fan first screenings tonight, and I was lucky enough to get tickets for that. And this is a cool little, I really don't know what this is. I believe it's the Long Halloween, just with adapted art from the movie, or just variants from this movie in the art style of the Long Halloween. But there's just so much to discuss with this movie, and one viewing really does not do it justice because there's a lot to this movie, and this is going to be a spoiler filled review. I'm not going to be talking about spoilers right off the bat. So if you did click on this video, I highly recommend that you don't watch any of the spoiler things if you haven't seen the movie yet, which is most likely the case because I know it doesn't open for most people until Thursday night. But I will be talking heavier spoilers in the back half of this video and lighter spoilers in the middle, and I'm just going to try my best to give you guys my initial thoughts in the very beginning without actually spoiling anything. But as far as this movie goes, it's really big story, really heavy story. It's very heavy in the plot department of things. Of course, the action's there. Everything that you'd expect and want from a Batman movie is there. But the plot is very heavy, very good plot, but it is 3 hours long. So just try to think of in your head how much of that actually is plot. And I'd say around 2 hours and 20 minutes of that is actually plot. And the plot is really riveting and interesting. You're really into that. But a lot of the big action set pieces and scenes you see from the trailer, that's only about like 35-40 minutes of the actual movie. So, like I said, it's very plot heavy, but I really enjoyed it. And it's definitely something that you get so caught up in, and something that you find yourself really invested in. I mean, there's parts in the movie where you're scared for characters, you get scared yourself. Those villains do the scaring to the audience. Especially one scene in particular in the very beginning of the movie, I found myself quite terrified, not just because it was a jump scare, but because it was very scary. I can just imagine being put in that scenario. So overall, the story was really good. I really had a good time with this movie. Like I said, plot is there. Obviously, it's a very plot heavy movie. The action is there. The action is really good when it is there. When it shows up, you will not be disappointed. The chase scene with the Penguin and the Batmobile, that is by far the highlight of the action in this movie. That scene is phenomenal. The ending fight with all of the different versions of the Riddler, all of his followers. That was also a really cool fight scene. And then the one from the beginning that had me smiling ear to ear was obviously the Vengeance from the trailer. The scene where the goons get off the train trying to beat up that one dude, and the Batman steps in and just kicks their teeth in, absolutely pummels the one dude, and they all run off scared after that. But like I said, plot very good, action very good. Robert Pattinson as the Batman, he is so good as the Batman. I know I've heard a lot of people criticize his Bruce Wayne, but there's not much of Bruce Wayne in this movie. He's the Batman pretty much the entire movie, aside from a few scenes, aside from the funeral scene that you see in the trailers and even in the clip that they released, and a few other times where he's talking to Alfred. Other than that, there is one scene where it's Bruce talking to Falcone towards the end of the movie, but those are really the only scenes where Bruce is actually present, and his Bruce was actually quite good, because I understand it's year two, so he should have figured things out by now, but I like seeing that this is the first movie with Robert Pattinson. He is still trying to figure things out. He hasn't, differentiated his roles as Bruce Wayne and Batman yet. They're kind of the same person. You kind of see Bruce Wayne shine through the Batman, and Batman shine through Bruce Wayne, which I really like. like I said, he's so good in this movie as Batman. Just the physicality that he brings to the role, everything that everybody said about him not being buff enough and big enough to play Batman, you're wrong. He's so good as the Dark Knight in this movie. It's hard to believe after seeing this movie that people dogged on him as much as they did. I get it. Twilight Boy, you guys, you haters are going to be shut up with this movie. He did such a great job with this movie. As for everybody else, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, just fantastic, stunning as Catwoman. Paul Dano as the Riddler, absolutely terrifying. So normal looking that it is scary. The scene in the coffee shop where they reveal his face finally. It's so scary, and I caught a couple of gasps in my theater just because I don't think people had seen all of the clips, and they were just surprised that he looked so normal, and some of the, you know, the little mannerisms that he does towards Batman whenever he's talking to him in the little interrogation scene, and whenever he starts singing what's the song's Ave Maria, I think the song's called. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. When he starts singing that to Batman as he's asking him, "What have you done?" I thought that was just perfect. But the way he looks at him and the way he talks to him, it's just so creepy, and it really justifies his character as a serial killer and just straight up terrifying. Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, also amazing casting. I was kind of concerned going into it just from the clips and some of the trailers. His mannerisms seemed a little weird. Like he'd get real close to like Batman and talk like this while swaying his head. I thought that was really, really off. But in the scene where he actually gets punched by Batman, it makes a lot of sense because they're all the corrupt cops are in the other room trying to listen. So he's trying to get like sway his face so they can't read his lips and talk as low as possible, which was really, really good on both Robert Pattinson and Jeffrey Wright's part. But I really liked their relationship in this movie, and the way Jeffrey Wright goes about playing it, I thought was really, really funny. Obviously, they're close. They've been working close together over the last 2 years. But I love how he just like calls him man. He's like, "Man, I don't even know who you are." I just think it's really, really funny. They talk to each other like they're best friends in a sense. And he's right. It is weird that he doesn't know his identity, and it's even weirder that they're talking to each other in this way. But their dynamic is really, really good in this movie. Colin Farrell is the Penguin, really, really good. He's not in the movie too much, not as much as I thought. Aside from the beginning, the little bits and pieces of the funeral scene. Towards the end with Falcone, so some stuff with Falcone. If I didn't say the chase scene already. Those are really the only scenes that he's in that I can recall. He's also set up. His show is kind of set up in the end. There is a voiceover of Bruce narrating saying, somebody's going to take over for Falcone. And it shows a shot of Penguin, the shot from the trailer of him overlooking Gotham. So I think that was a little bit of a setup for his show. But once again, I couldn't tell it was Colin Farrell from the trailers. In the movie, you actually get little glimpses of Colin Farrell's acting. So he did a really, really good job in this movie. If I missed anybody else, everybody in this movie is fantastic. There's not somebody that did a bad job in the acting department of things. But I think I pretty much covered everything, and I did go into spoilers there, so I will put something in the video just saying I will be talking about spoilers. But I'm just going to go over some scenes that I thought were really, really good. The beginning with Riddler killing the mayor, that scared the bejesus out of me. With Mayor Mitchell just standing there watching the election, and he's talking with somebody on the phone about I think he was like trying to rig the election. He's like, "Oh, we should be up based on this and that," and then he walks away, and Riddler's standing behind him with the carpet tucker that's used later on in the movie to unveil his master plan. But whenever he jumps out at him and screams, that scared the crap out of me. I didn't expect that at all. I thought he was just going to come out like slowly and hit him over the head, but he jumped and yelled at him as he's beating him over the head. And just watching him throw the weapon in anger after he's done, and the breathing whenever he's just like looking up and breathing, just the breathing is terrifying in this movie with the mask, and then he starts taping his head. And I think the introduction of Batman is really really good. Um, of him first putting on the eye makeup. You don't actually see it, but you get little glimpses of it. Seeing the mask, and then him stopping on the way to beat up those goons who were going to try to beat up the dude for no reason and just get video of it because they thought it was funny. They got a kick out of it. After that, he goes and is on the scene with Gordon and all of the other GCPD cops and Pete Savage, I think his name, and who's the commissioner at the time. Obviously, there's a lot of people in the police force, especially in the beginning of the movie, who are not on the side of Batman and even Gordon, just because they know he's a clean cop and pretty much everybody else in the police force is not. So they obviously have a problem with him being on the scene. Batman gets thrown off. I really, really like the tension in the beginning of the movie, especially in those aspects. And then we get into Bruce deciphering the first message. He lies still. He's lying about seeing another woman who he goes to the Iceberg Lounge, tries to talk with the Penguin. They deny it at first, and then he gets into that whole scuffle with like Kenzie and a few of the other workers, and the two twins at the Iceberg Lounge. Finally talks to Penguin. That's where he meets Selena Kyle. I think their chemistry was really, really good. I saw some people saying they didn't buy their chemistry at all. I really bought it. I thought that they haven't known each other for that long, so it's not going to feel right at first, but I feel towards the end of the movie they definitely had their connections there, especially at the end after the flooding, whenever Selena was about to get killed and Bruce saved her by stabbing himself with the what was it? It was like the pen. It was like the healing stem of some sorts, and he just beats upon the dude and almost kills him until Gordon stops him. Gordon and Selena stop him, but I really liked their relationship. And then obviously we get into the whole mystery charade of them, the Riddler trying to out the Waynes and all of these corrupt people who are wrongdoers in Gotham, like the Commissioner, Savage, the Mayor, the Waynes, including Bruce. I like the part where you think that Riddler knows who Batman knows who Bruce Wayne really is, the Batman, where he keeps saying Bruce Wayne whenever he's interrogating him. And then it's revealed with the little line. I forget exactly what he says, but he says something along. I can't remember exactly what he says, but you'll get the picture whenever you see the movie, or if you have seen the movie. But I like that little subtleness, and then like Bruce kind of like perks up as if like he knows he doesn't really know, and then he gets closer. He kind of stays in the shadows until that point, which I really really liked. But I don't really want to go on and talk about this whole movie because I'm really still trying to process it, and it's hard to talk about and recall certain parts of the movie. But like I said, it really is a different experience. It's definitely something you have to experience in theaters as quickly as you possibly can. Everything in this movie is perfect. I don't want to say it's my favorite Batman movie yet, but it is very, very close. I mean, if The Dark Knight is first, which it obviously is, this is either second or third. This is a close, very, very close second or a very close third. Because Dark Knight and Batman Begins are my two favorite Batman movies. I think Batman Begins is incredibly underrated. Even though I think what they did with Scarecrow was kind of a shame. But everything with the Ra's al Ghul storyline and him actually becoming Batman through the League of Shadows, I actually really, really like that. But aside from that, I think that this is going to be my second favorite Batman movie as of right now after seeing it one time. It may change, but man, this movie is something else. And the 3-hour runtime really makes it an experience. So I highly recommend you guys go see it this weekend whenever it opens. But if you guys have seen the movie, let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below. If you guys did enjoy, please consider hitting that subscribe button, like button, turning on post notifications. Whatever you guys want to do to support the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. So Hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all in the next one.